Now that you've selected the perfect spot, we'll set up a trap. First, insert the base of the stake into the ground. Try to keep the stake as vertical as possible. You may need to use a piece of rebar and a hammer to drive a pilot hole. Once in place, put on the top half of the trap. Then take the wire and secure the trap to the horizontal part of the stand. It's preferable to use a long enough wire so that the extra can be used to tie to the vertical part of the stand. This will help reduce the chance of a trap being blown off the stand. Next, use wire ties to secure the bottom of the trap to the vertical portion of the stand. Be careful to leave it long enough that the trap can still hang vertically. This will help protect the trap from wind damage. Then fill a wet collection cup to 2 to 3 inches in depth with dilute antifreeze. If equipped, make sure the rubber stopper is secure in the drain hole. Screw the cup to the bottom funnel. Put on a pair of rubber gloves. Select one of the lure types. Change gloves before handling other lure types. The ethanol lure should be hung in the middle of the trap using a zip tie. The end can be tucked into the lowest convenient funnel to prevent it from blowing around. The alpha pinene baited trap uses one ethanol lure and one blue alpha pinene lure. This is attached to the trap in the same way as the ethanol lure. The IPS lure should also be hung at the middle of the trap. If each component is separate, hang each lure from a separate trap support. Lures should be stored in a sealable container so that the attractants do not volatilize and diminish the effectiveness of the lure. Place a label on the trap. Enter the new trap location in the EDRR database. Traps need to be checked at least every 2 weeks. Longer periods may result in decayed samples that cannot be processed. Place a large funnel into the top of the container for collecting the waste antifreeze. Open and place a paint filter in the funnel. Unscrew the collecting cap and use forceps to remove any vertebrates or large debris from the cup. Inspect them for target insects before disposing of them. Gently agitate the cup and pour it into the paint filter. Use forceps to remove any large insects left in the cup and place them in the filter. Rinse the cup thoroughly with alcohol to wash out all bark beetles. Remember, some are smaller than 1 millimeter in length. Refill the cup with antifreeze mixture to 2 to 3 inches in depth. And screw it back onto the bottom trap funnel. Thoroughly rinse the material in the paint filter to remove as much of the antifreeze as possible. Remove the filter and gently flatten it, then fold the top over to prevent insects from falling out. Place the filter into a sealable bag. Place a folded paper towel in the bag. Add enough alcohol to the bag to saturate the paper towel. Add an internal label to the bag, either printed or written in pencil, that contains the following information: date collected, site number, site name, collector, lure type. Affix a duplicate label on the outside of the bag. Mailing labels work well. Place samples in a cooler until they can be placed in a freezer in the lab or office. An alternate collection method for those who will be picking out the beetles from their own samples is to substitute a sample cup, yes, a urine sample cup, for the plastic bag. In this case, the paint filter may need to be cut down to fit in the cup. The paper towel can be omitted. Then fill the cup with 1 inch or 2 of alcohol. Enter the sample collection in the EDRR database. Each lure type has a lifespan. Change lures according to the manufacturer's recommendations and continue to handle different lure types with different rubber gloves. At each trap check, inspect the lures to ensure that they have not leaked or dried up. Replace any depleted lures. Always carry replacement lures when you're checking traps. Traps are attractive nuisances. Occasionally they'll be tampered with. Bears, cows, wind, but mostly people mess with traps. Be cautious of placing traps near livestock, as they will often damage traps. If you find a trap is knocked down or has the cup removed twice in a row, it's probably time to move that trap. Please note the disturbance in the EDRR database and that no sample was collected. Also note when and to where a trap is moved. Samples need to be stored in a freezer until shipping, or if freezer space is not available, a less desirable option is a refrigerator. If samples are not kept cold, they begin to rot, even with the alcohol, which makes the pre-screener and the taxonomist very sad. Samples can quickly become decayed to the point where they must be discarded. Samples should be double bagged to prevent leakage and well packed with absorbent material to absorb any potential leaks. Make sure all samples have appropriate and complete labels. Ship samples overnight to minimize time sitting in a hot building or truck. It's often a good idea to give the pre-screener or identifier a heads up that a package is on its way. Screening aids are available for pre-screeners in an electronic format. Any computer with PowerPoint can run the keys. Training is necessary before becoming a pre-screener for the purposes of EDRR. Taxonomists are reclusive creatures. They are slowly going extinct and they know it. A systematic program of fiscal starvation, isolation, and neglect have led to populations that are at their lowest levels in many decades. Be kind to your taxonomist. Additional stress could lead to the loss of another of these magnificent creatures.
Top a mighty bridge, looking down on the rocks below. We were out on that day to catch some fish. This is a fishing song.